The night smelled of smoke, not the comforting smoke of a hearth fire, but the kind that carries the scent of something priceless being lost. Somewhere in the ancient city of Alexandria, flames rose into the sky, devouring shelves of papyrus scrolls, scrolls that contained the knowledge of the world. Philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, poetry, history, centuries of human thought, thousands of voices from the past, silenced in a single catastrophe. And to this day, historians still ask the same haunting question: what exactly happened the day the greatest library in human history vanished forever? To understand the tragedy, we need to go back more than 2,000 years to a city that was once the intellectual capital of the world. The story begins with a man who never actually lived there. His name was Alexander the Great. In 331 BC, after conquering Egypt, Alexander founded a new city on the Mediterranean coast. He named it after himself, Alexandria. He imagined it as a shining beacon of Greek culture and power. But Alexander died young, before his vision could truly take shape. After his death, one of his generals, Ptolemy I Soter, seized control of Egypt and turned Alexandria into the capital of a new kingdom. Ptolemy had an extraordinary idea. He wanted Alexandria to become the greatest center of knowledge the world had ever seen, not just a library, a universal archive of human civilization, and so began the creation of the legendary Library of Alexandria. But calling it a library barely does it justice. It was part of a massive research institution known as the Mausion, a place where scholars lived, studied, debated, and wrote. Imagine a university, a museum, and a library all combined into one enormous complex. Inside its halls worked the greatest thinkers of the ancient world: mathematicians who studied geometry, astronomers who measured the stars, doctors who studied anatomy, philosophers who debated the nature of reality. One scholar working there, Eratosthenes, made a discovery that still amazes scientists today. Using nothing more than shadows, geometry, and careful observation, he calculated the circumference of the Earth over 2,000 years ago, and he was astonishingly accurate. Another famous scholar associated with Alexandria was Euclid, whose work on geometry became the foundation of mathematics for centuries. Students studied his writings for nearly 2,000 years. But perhaps the most extraordinary thing about the library was its mission. The rulers of Alexandria wanted to collect every book in the world, every single one. Ships arriving at the harbor were searched for manuscripts. If a book was found, it was taken to the library to be copied. The library kept the original. The owner received the copy. It was the ancient world's most ambitious knowledge project. Historians believe the library may have contained anywhere between 40,000 and 700,000 scrolls. Imagine the collective knowledge of dozens of civilizations stored in one place: works from Greece, Egypt, Persia, India, Babylon. Some texts were the only copies that existed, and for centuries, Alexandria thrived as the intellectual capital of the world. But history has a cruel habit of destroying its greatest achievements, and the downfall of the library may have begun with a war. In 48 BC, the Roman general Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria during a political conflict in Egypt. He soon found himself trapped in the harbor, surrounded by enemy forces. Facing defeat, Caesar made a desperate decision. He ordered his soldiers to burn the Egyptian fleet docked in the harbor. The fire spread. What started as a military tactic quickly grew out of control. Flames leapt from ship to ship, then from the docks to the nearby buildings. And somewhere in that inferno, parts of the great library may have burned. Ancient historians later wrote about the disaster. But here's where the mystery deepens. Some records say the library was destroyed. Others claim only a portion of it was damaged. And some scholars believe the main collection survived entirely. The truth is, nobody knows exactly how much was lost that day. But if the library survived Caesar's fire, it wouldn't survive the centuries that followed. Empires rose and fell. Wars swept across Egypt. Political upheaval shook Alexandria again and again. Slowly, the institution that had once gathered the world's knowledge began to fade. Funding disappeared, scholars left, collections were scattered, and then, in the 4th century AD, another turning point arrived. The Roman Empire had embraced Christianity, and tensions were growing between different religious groups. In 391 AD, under the authority of the Roman Emperor Theodosius I, pagan temples across the empire were ordered to close. In Alexandria, this led to violent clashes,